Hey, I'm Logan Newman of Newman Specials Woodwork. This is my portable plywood router table. I've had a couple different people ask how I made this router table. So I'm going to go through and show how I made it today. Key things for it. I like to use Dewalt tracksaw clamps because they are very strong and rigid when I hold it onto the table. I have a 1 inch and 3/8 inch Forstner bit that's going to be helpful. I've got a piece of plywood that started out as 24 by 24. It's scrap wood. I cut it down 15 inches that way, 4 inches this way. This is what we're going to use to make the router table. We're going to make it so it sits down on the bench at the corner here, and it'll provide plenty of strength and make a fence to go with it. Let's get started. I went ahead and already removed the base off the plywood router table I already have. Notice that it's recessed to allow it to sit closer to the top. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece. I did this one at 15 inches wide. So I'm going to put a mark at 7.5, and it's 24 inches. I'm actually going to put my center at about 13. You know, this is sort of up to you where you want to do it. I'm doing it here so that when I have it, it won't be too heavy on this side. I don't want it to be too much like a lever. So I have that. I have my piece. I'm going to just basically center the base. And I'm going to take this. I'm going to have the latch on the outside so that I can easily get to it. That allows me to adjust the sides. And once I have this set up basically where I want it, I'm just going to trace. You know, you can do this however you want. If you just want to do a big circle, you could just do a big circle. I'm going to do this. Okay. So here is my piece. Now I need to cut out a section here so it'll sit down. It'll be inset. I'm going to take out roughly 3/8 inches deep. The easiest way to do this was just with a Forstner bit. I just went into the outlines that I had drawn, hogged out a whole bunch, and I used my spare router to check the depth. I had it set to 3/8 of an inch already. Once I had everything cleaned up and mostly set, took the router, cleaned out the area to the lines, made sure everything was flush, checked my fit, and it was pretty good. I had to clean up one corner, but beyond that, it was really good. Now I want to mark the screw holes. I just used a drill bit and went through each of the holes, set it into the hole, and just tapped it in place to make sure that I had the space. Checked the size of the screws to see what they are. And once I had that in place and I had that figured out, I just drilled the holes. I actually made it about 2 sizes larger than the screws so that there was some wiggle room if I needed it. Once I drilled the holes for the screws, now I want to recess the heads, and I used a 3/8 inch Forstner bit. I just went through, drilled the hole, I checked my depth after the first one and matched all of them basically to that. So now when I put the piece in, it'll be the right depth. In order to find the center where the router bits are going to fit through, I just took the router plate that was on the router, lined it up to the screw holes, and I took a 1 inch Forstner bit, drilled that hole. Once I had that done, I put the base on, screwed it in place, and you can see the screws all lined up perfectly, and once it's attached, it's solidly in place. Now we're going to put the trim router back into the base. We're going to turn the whole thing upside down where you want it on the workbench or wherever it is so that the trim router, has enough clearance, and I'm going to trace out the clamps I'm using. This way I can clean out the area underneath them. I'm just going to use the actual clamp that I'm using to set the depth of the bit that I'm using. I use a 1/4 inch bit here. And same as before, I'm just cleaning out to the lines that I traced to make sure everything fits. Put the clamp in place, make sure it fits, go do the other one. Really just important to have them both done. I don't have anything else to say, so I'm just going to look at it for a second. Looks nice. All right, everything's in place. Now you can see it's flush to the top. There's no lip, nothing to catch pieces. The next piece is sort of optional. It's the fence if you want to have a fence. I used a 24 inch by 4 inch wide piece. I marked where I want the center to be over the bit. I'm, again, just using that 1 inch Forstner bit to sort of hog it out. And now, actually using the router on the table for the first time, I'm going to square up the opening so that it allows air to flow through and it doesn't hit the bit. Once that's done, I'm giving the whole piece a nice little sanding, round over the edges, just make sure everything's smooth. And I'm going to attach the back support pieces. These are just 90-degree mending plates. I picked those up at Home Depot. They're obviously not going to be perfect, so I'm going to attach the bottom first, square everything using a square, and now I'm going to add a little shim in there. Just did a small washer at the top. This helps to keep it 90 degrees. This way I'm just making sure everything is set from the get-go. Again, not too much more to add here. You can see it's 90 degrees. I'm just attaching and making sure everything is firmly attached. Now I'm going to go and do the other side. With this side, I did something different. I added a piece beyond the other clamp. That way there's enough room so my other clamp doesn't get in the way. Again, I'm checking to make sure everything's 90 degrees before I attach. But in this case, I'm attaching to both the fence and that piece that I added on there. That way it's always somewhere I can clamp, because I clamp these in. I don't attach them any other way, but it's pretty firm. You can see how solid it is. It's 90 degrees. Now the final piece is dust collection. I happen to have this accessory, so I'm setting the router bit to the depth of it, and I'm going to cut a piece that will hold it on the back. Nothing fancy. You can see it fits right in there. I cut 2 sections about 3 inches long, and I'm just going to attach it on the back. I'm going to line it up with the hole and just screw those side pieces in place. Now you can use anything you want here, and you can set it up any way that you want. So whatever accessory you have, it's going to be helpful just to have something in place. You can see that there's a huge difference. Once you have the vacuum, watch how well it cleans it up. There's really no dust flying anywhere. So this is great. You know, one of the best parts about this that I talked about many times is that it's all removable and you can put it back wherever you want to store it. I like to hang mine up, so I put a small hole in the top that fits over the screw. And once I'm done, I can just hang it up and go back to work.